Ravis Wayne Goodsell. So, yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has spiritually fallen. If you consider the membership as the heart of the church, it's fallen. I saw that the church did actually come out with membership stats. They fudged them. Now, there's several factors that if you've been paying attention to the statistics, that you know of what really is going on. The Salt Lake Tribune last November reported about how the church wasn't going to report Utah's membership stats to the Utah government because things were too confusing with coronavirus. And so it was clear to me that they weren't going to then do the world's numbers as they do every year, and yet they did after I did the video. They'll show me, huh? Yeah, well, they fudged the numbers. And the fudging is that it's now 0.86% increase, which is low, but it's higher than last year's 0.6 something, 65 or something increase, which was considered shockingly dropping. And so what happened? Well, if you watch my videos, you know that after Nelson came out in 2018 and announced a temple in a major city yet to be determined in Russia, the stats for 2018 reported in the end of 2018 reported in 2019, Russia went missing. And as a result, the membership numbers were missing the 23,180 members in Russia from the overall stats. And nobody seemed to understand this or catch on to this. The church purposely was lowering their stats by removing certain countries from the total membership records. And you have to actually download each of the Wikipedia page information on that for each year to keep up to date on that and go back and check and such. Because otherwise, if you keep downloading, your file will say that it's the same file name as the previous year's, and will ask you if you want to replace it. So you have to type in an additional information on the file name to distinguish them from previous years. And so, yeah, when 2020, Nelson comes out, and a temple in Shanghai, yeah, guess what happened in 2021? Oh, China's missing, along with others. And thus the 0.65-ish, whatever, percent. And again, nobody caught on, nobody understood. They're not doing a thorough check. They're just going off of the main number with previous numbers, doing the percentage, etc. And so this year, the fudging is they brought them back. Russia's still there, and China's now back, and the other places are back, so that they can bump up the numbers. Why would they do this? It's because they know the church has fallen. The heart has fallen. And and they're purposely trying to cover it up about how damaging it is, hoping that something will help to get things back in motion. Well, they tried a stunt like that about a decade ago, in which they got caught adding children of record to the membership numbers. And as Mormons, we're led to believe that you're not a member until you turn 8 years old and are baptized, and thus produce a record. Well, children are getting records when they are given a baby blessing, and the parents fill it out for the church. And so thus, children of record became a statistic, and were included as part of the membership numbers. Can't do that. And you can't do it because the membership numbers themselves are not actual members. This is a very rare known scandal that I've been exposing. I caught it from a guy online, came across it in Google searching. He's got the website showing each of the different articles of incorporation of the church since 1923. Heber J. Grant is the founder of this church. This is why I do my videos for you. This is not Joseph's church. It's not even Brigham's church. The United States shut it down. And it was Heber J. Grant in 1923 who reincorporated, didn't bother to tell the members, didn't even bother to let the members know what was contained in the Articles of Incorporation, because now members are not members, we're chattel. We're used to make money for the church. And so we have no vote, we have no voice. We provide money for the church. It's right there in the Articles of Incorporation, 1923. And so when we turn 8 years old, we're technically not actual members. Utah law even says that people cannot hold office in a corporation if they're underage. And yet we have deacons quorum presidents, the office of deacon, office of teacher, office of priest. We're violating Utah's own law on that because it's a corporation. And so, of course, Utah law looks the other way. You know, we're not supposed to gamble, but we're forced to have all different kinds of insurance. Now, that's a gambling. We invest with no guarantee of a return on our investment. Remember the floods last year? Yeah, the insurance company said, "Oh, you weren't covered for flood." Yeah, we give them money to be told, no, we cannot get the money when we need it. That's gambling. And so there's another factor with the children of record. You've got to subtract about 1 million from the record. The children of record for 2021 was 89,000, 2020 65,440, 2019 94,000, 2018 102,000, 2017 106,771, 2016 109,000, etc. It was all over 100,000s prior to. I only went back to 2012, which was 122,000. And so all of these do not count as members and have to be taken off of the actual membership stat. And so that's a million that needs to be dropped. The difference, if you just take everything as they claim, is a loss of 115,615. Because the children of record and the convert baptisms show a loss for that. Or children baptized, sorry, not convert baptisms. Because it was 168,283 children baptized, and then children of record were 89,069 for 257,352, and then subtracted by the difference between last year and this year, which the total number for this year is 16,805,400. So difference of 141,737, and so yeah, you get the point. And so the difference is supposed to be those who have died and have their names taken off the records because they're dead, because that's what happens. You know, the funeral occurs, ceremony at the stake center or wards building, and the membership clerk fills out the paperwork that the funeral occurred and they died on such and such a day, and it's submitted to the church and they remove the name from the records. And it goes into a file of deceased Mormons, unless they, and just in case they get resurrected from the dead, we'll have their membership record to bring them back. But the death numbers is kind of low. It also does not. It would also have to include those who officially, formally sign documentation saying, I want my names taken off the records of the church. The billionaire, for example, who wrote the letter to Nelson and made it public for everyone to know. Yeah, that was one of the loss of members on the statistics for last year. It was last year, wasn't it? Or was it this year? Seems like so long ago. And so those also are factored in. And with coronavirus, it seems awfully low. And then you have missionaries. We're still showing the same amount of missionaries in the mission field. And that may be because there's a lot of sister missionaries. Nelson did come out and pull a Hinckley. Which suggests that there are a noticeable number of teenage boys that are not going on missions. They're not signing papers to go on missions. And because they don't want to discourage sister missionaries from going, thus they say you're not required, only the boys, because they hold the priesthood, and it's not in God's program for women to have the priesthood because they're not the Church of Joseph Smith. 17 March 1842. And they celebrate it every year, but they don't do a reading of it. They need to do a reading of it. But Nelson's canceled that. So, yeah, they can never find out now. They have to go to the Joseph Smith papers and listen to some guy's video that leads them to 17 March 1842. And include the minutes in it as well, because the minutes informs us that they voted for the name of the organization, and they voted for the president. They voted for Emma. They voted for the Name Relief Society. And Joseph said, hey, it's yours. Do what you want with it. You can have priesthood office. He said, even of the Aaronic, deacon, teacher, etc. You've got the Melchizedek priesthood. You can bless. It's yours. Do whatever you want with it. He knows how to handle women. Let them do whatever they want. And they did. But the church won't tell us this. And so, yeah. But yeah, we're looking at a far less number of actual membership records. And then other churches, they only go by those who show up for church or mass to get an idea of the spirituality level of the populace. And the church doesn't do that. They go by stats, membership record stats. And because of that, they don't compare it for us to know what the sacrament meeting attendance is. The clerk is the one who's, you used to sit up there on the pulpit stand, depending on the design of the building, right behind the sacrament table, and would sit there, and then he in some cases he used to walk down the aisles to get a count. I still remember those situations. I haven't seen much of that here in Utah. They pretty much know everybody in the ward, and so they know how to do a count. But yeah, that's something they will not reveal to us. Mormon Leaks, a number of years back, revealed the Central American sacrament stats. Remember when they did a worldwide tour? It was to reclaim those not going to church in those countries. That's what they wouldn't tell us. And if that's supposed to be the indicator of the actual membership, then yeah, the news in 2012 of Marlon K. Jensen, where he said we probably have an active membership of around 5 million. Back then, yeah, maybe. It would be less now. And that would be the actual membership of the church, to go by those who are active and participating with the church. And those who aren't participating aren't really Mormon anymore. They're not real members in that sense. We used to call them active or not active, and then we were told to say less active. I remember that switch of name calling. I think before that it was apostate. Oh, you didn't go to church, you're apostate. You've apostatized. You got to go to church, man. You got to go to the temple. You're an apostate. And so, yeah, those numbers are never factored in. But yeah, the church itself, it has spiritually fallen. That's blatantly obvious. And those that are claiming active membership, I see your comments, I see your thumbs down. Yeah, you've fallen also. You don't belong to the church and hate. You're not a real Mormon. You've fallen. You have not had that mighty change of heart from the Book of Mormon. You are under condemnation. But Benson continued. I remember spreading that as a teenager. Yeah, we're still under condemnation. You know. And so, the church has spiritually fallen. Those who claim activity are abusers of people, spewers of hate. And in my situation, they did not show today. It's only 4:30. But I have people actually trying to assassinate me. Not with guns or knives or weapons, from their position at work. Church gave them the order, and they are committing severe crimes. Conspiratorial murder with intent. Yeah, that's pretty serious. And it's horrific that Mormons and just human beings in general would devolve to such atrocities. I mean, we see it by the Russians who have left, and Boca or whatever the place was called, as they were leaving that area. We found the mass graves. It just makes you want to cry. And we know that Nelson left the Mormons behind. And so we don't know if the stake president got inspired to be a man like Moses and get them out. I'm sure that the men, at least, stayed behind to fight. But there were likely Mormons in that pit. And Nelson abandoned them. That's what you need to understand. Is that the fall is not of those who are, not believers in God. That it's those who realize that the church isn't true. That they are the great and abominable church. Because you don't abuse people. You don't abandon people. If you're the shepherd of the flock, you make sure they survive, both physically and spiritually. Nelson only will claim spiritual leader. And then he brags about all of the abundance of the church that they are given in charity, and then Uchtdorf comes along and talks about the 2 mites of the widow. How the Pharisees boasted and bragged about how much they were giving of their abundance. But I've been telling you guys, and Mormons spew their hate at me. And it's sad that mankind would devolve into literal Morlocks. Bonus points for those of you who know who Morlocks are. Extra credit bonus points if you know who the Eloi are.